Antonio's Story, Legacy of the Fallen, by Charles Olson. Chapter 16. The First to Fall. The road stretched endlessly ahead, a cracked, dry ribbon slicing through scrubland and low hills. Faded towns blinked past like half-forgotten dreams Antonio didn't recall. The sky loomed overhead, wide and merciless, an oppressive white glare offering no warmth, just relentless pressure. The battered Chevette rattled along, its engine wheezing and tires humming a mournful song against the asphalt, each mile a protest begging for rest. Antonio's grip on the wheel was firm, eyes steady ahead. Beside him, Mono slouched deep in the passenger seat, one arm casually draped out the open window. The wind tugged gently at his shirt, unnoticed, as his gaze remained fixed on the distant horizon, his thoughts wandering far from the present. "You good?" Antonio asked softly, casting a brief glance toward him. Mono hesitated, his jaw tightening briefly before he gave a slow nod. "Yeah," he murmured. "Just thinking." Antonio let the quiet hang, sensing Mono's need for space. After a pause, Mono's voice emerged again, low and reflective. "About that life Chaco found. Family, land, peace. Crazy, right?" Antonio nodded solemnly. "He earned it." "Yeah, he did." Mono shifted slightly, eyes still distant. "We used to dream about something like that. Me and this kid I ran with back in Veracruz, before I even had a name." Antonio glanced over, sensing the story that lingered behind Mono's words. "I never knew my family," Mono continued, a quiet bitterness underscoring his voice. "They found me in an alley, newborn, umbilical cord still attached. They say a stray dog wouldn't stop barking until someone looked." Antonio murmured softly, sympathetically. "Jesus." Mono laughed dryly. "They stuck me in this orphanage outside the city. Concrete walls, barred windows, called it a home. But we weren't kids to them. We were problems to manage, liabilities." Mono traced the faded tattoo on his cheek, the ink concealing a deeper scar. "Tried escaping 5 times. Failed every time." A faint smile crept onto his face. "Finally did it on my 13th birthday. Climbed through a broken window, jumped a fence wrapped in barbed wire. Tore half my face open, blood everywhere. But I ran, man. Never looked back." He reclined slightly, lost momentarily in the memory. "Later tattooed freedom between strands of barbed wire, right over the scar. First word I ever truly earned." They rode quietly, an old cumbia melody crackling faintly from the broken radio, barely audible amidst static, just enough to comfort ghosts. "After that, the streets became my home," Mono said after a while. "Trash bins, alleyways, busted cars, whatever it took." He paused, his eyes darker. "Then I met this other kid, sleeping behind a taqueria. He taught me how to hustle, how to disappear in a crowd." Antonio let Mono speak, his own silence a respectful acknowledgement. Mono's voice dropped, a weight pressing each word. "We were tight. He was like a brother. Showed me more in a month than I learned in 13 years at that place. Then one day he just vanished. Some said traffickers took him. Others said drugs. I still don't know." Mono stared ahead, eyes heavy with memory. "He was the first one I lost, the first brother who fell." The tension in the car thickened briefly, words hanging in the air. "We always talked about getting out." Mono continued quietly. "Escaping, building something real, growing beans, laughing at how messed up the world is." A soft, cracked chuckle escaped him. "Maybe someday, when all this settles, I'll find a little plot of land, make it mine, become Uncle Mono to somebody." Nightfall welcomed them at the outskirts of Mexico City, lights beginning to punctuate the sprawling horizon. They arrived at Hotel Albertina, a modest place with a cracked fountain, a courtyard filled with brittle leaves, and a faintly glowing pool shimmering gently under dim lights. The Chevette sighed in relief as it halted. Antonio and Mono climbed out slowly, stretching stiff limbs. A sleepy-eyed bellhop handed them a single key with a muted nod. Inside the room, Antonio collapsed onto one bed, weary to the bone. Mono fell face first onto the other, boots still on, releasing a muffled groan. For the first time in weeks, stillness enveloped them. The next 2 days drifted by in fragments. Mono, cigarette dangling from his lips, bare feet submerged in the cool courtyard pool. The smoke curled lazily upward, dancing in spirals as distant memories flickered behind his vacant eyes. Antonio standing silently on the balcony, the city's lights shimmering faintly through layers of smog and haze, neon signs blinking like distant whispers. He absorbed the cacophony below, the vibrant chaos contrasting starkly with his silent introspection. Quiet beers shared beneath a shaded canopy, clinking softly, their silences carrying a depth of unspoken understanding. Gentle nods, subtle glances, conveying the bond forged in shared struggles. Antonio hunched over his notepad, sketching half-remembered faces, scribbling fragmented names, images capturing fleeting emotions, and places that lingered within him, guiding him through the uncertain future. Mono finally breaking into a soft but genuine smile, a rare moment sparked by Antonio recounting a humorous anecdote. The gentle rustle of leaves above seemed to ease away his habitual tension, even if just briefly. On the second evening, Mono returned with tortoise and 2 chilled beers. Antonio was seated on the bed, notebook resting closed beside him. They ate in silence, the air around them heavy with unspoken thoughts. Finally, Mono broke the quiet. "Where to next?" Antonio leaned back, his voice steady, resolute. "Juárez is the destination. Mexico City's just a stopover." Mono nodded thoughtfully. "Then let's burn it down, and build something better from the ashes." They clinked bottles quietly. 2 men, 2 survivors, and 1 story still unfolding.